obviously, is to get the most grain possible out of a particular piece of land. Farmers want to maximize their yield while minimizing the cost of getting the grain to the elevator. Farming, especially for the family-owned farm, is risky business. A little bad luck with the weather or weeds or the price of the crop can mean the difference between making a living and selling the farm. It wasn't that long ago that farmers here in Kansas used horses to harvest their fields. Nowadays they have gigantic combines, harvesting threshing machines that have big cabs with radios and air conditioning. The headers on these machines can reach up to 35 feet, making quick work of a wheat field on a hot and dry day. Of course, these combines can cost at least $400,000 each. A reminder that farming is not now, nor has it ever been, for the faint of heart. Of course, even the simplest combine would have been a miracle tool for the farmers of 3,000 years ago who were harvesting wheat in the time of Leviticus. For them, harvesting was an incredibly labor-intensive process. Most of it was done by hand, requiring the work of many people. If a farmer was wealthy enough, he might have oxen to help him at certain points in the process. But the laborers had to go out into the field and pull the wheat plants up by hand, or they might use a sickle to bring it down, and then they'd gather the wheat up into sheaves. Along with the threshing and the winnowing, it could take them all summer to get the wheat ready for winter storage. But no matter the farming method, ancient farmers wanted the very same thing that modern farmers do: to get the most grain possible out of their field, grain that they could then either eat or sell. And they would do whatever possible to maximize the amount of grain, with one glaring exception. That exception is found in several places in Scripture, most notably in the third book of the Bible, the book of Leviticus. Now, I sort of doubt that you have read very much of Leviticus. It's kind of dry to the modern reader. But it's an important book because Leviticus lays out systematically the way Israelites were supposed to live their lives. It goes something like this. The Israelite nation was in a covenant with God. They were God's chosen people. It was a covenant of love and trust. And they knew that their God was a holy God, and that meant that God desired them to be a holy people. Being a holy people meant doing certain things and not doing certain other things. And they found that code of life laid out for them in the Hebrew Scriptures. Holy God, holy people. That's what the book of Leviticus is most concerned about. The instructions in Leviticus reach into every area of life: home life, religious life, work life, and yes, even farm life. Leviticus chapter 19 says that when you harvest, you shall not reap, that is, gather in the grain, from the very edges of your field. Every farmer in ancient Israel was supposed to leave a strip of plants unharvested along the edge of their field, the gleanings. Why would a farmer do such a thing? Well, simply for the poor. Farmers in ancient Israel were supposed to leave the gleanings, the outer edges of their field, so that folks who were poor or foreign immigrants, those who didn't have land and crops of their own, could come along and gather up those gleanings free of charge. Do you suppose that was easy for the farmer? I doubt it. I doubt it was easy for any farmer to leave grain in the field, grain that he had planted and weeded and tended, to leave it there in the field for anyone, just anyone who needed it or wanted it to take. But that's what farmers in ancient Israel did, because they knew that leaving the gleanings in the field for the poor was a holy way to live. Of course, the Bible claims that the reason the grain is in the field in the first place is because God made it grow. The farmer may have scattered the seed, but it was God that brought the rain and gave the sun and gave the miracle of life to that plant in the first place. So in an important way, grain is actually God's first and the farmer's second. Maybe then it's not too much to ask for the farmer to leave those strips of gleanings along the edge of the field in thanksgiving for a full field of healthy wheat. Now, Leviticus 19 is just one place in the Scriptures where we can see how seriously God takes the plight of the poor. God is interested in everyone having enough food to eat, in everyone having safety, in everyone experiencing justice. So the Bible asks that when those of us who have enough realize we do, that we share some of what we have with those who have little. It's part of living a righteous life. Voluntarily giving some of what we have is a fundamental biblical principle for what it means to live a holy life. I think it's more than likely that you are not a farmer. Even if you were, I wouldn't really want to suggest that you leave a row uncut in your field. I kind of doubt anyone would come by to take your gleanings, even if you did. That's not quite the way the world works anymore. We may not be farmers, but we still have gleanings, and the principle of generosity remains the same. If we have enough, we're asked to give to those who are hungry or in need, so that across creation we honor the God who causes the grain to grow and fills our tables with food.